I look like crap. Um, but we can get to why I look like crap. So I had the baby, and we will just talk about all that. He's a week old now. Okay, so I was going to be induced by the 39th anyway. I was still 2 centimeters dilated. The Monday before Thanksgiving. So he said, okay, we will make an appointment for your induction on the 29th, 7 in the morning. So I had like Tuesday and Wednesday to go into labor by myself, or else I was going to be induced. So Tuesday morning, I got up at like 6:20 in the morning, off my couch, went down my hallway, and there was a gush of water. I went all the way into the bathroom, sat down on the toilet, I peed, and my water stopped gushing. Now with my last son, it trickled the whole entire time I got to the hospital. So I was surprised that it had stopped. But I woke the husband up and I'm like, my water broke. So we got the kids up, and I think I was going to send them to school that day. I called labor and delivery first and told them. And she was like, okay, well, call the on-call doctor and we'll probably see you in a little bit. So we called the on-call doctor. She called me back, and she wasn't like, maybe your water broke. She was like, I think you just peed yourself. And I'm like, really? And she was like, so if it happens again, call me. And I was like really mad. Like, this is my 4th kid. This is my 2nd time that my water broke. You're kidding me, right? Like, why wouldn't you just say, come in, we'll check it out? She didn't do that. Sent the kids to school. My mother-in-law works at a hospital, and she brought me a strip of paper that if your water breaks, you dip it in and it turns blue, but we cleaned up the mess already. So all day long, I was like, what is going on? Then I'm like, did I really pee myself? Like, why isn't it happening again? No contractions, no nothing. So we took a nap, we ate lunch, my kids came home from school, we freaking ate dinner. My oldest son went to work, and we were taking him there and bringing him back. So we were able to take him to work, and then we just kind of chilled on the couch with the 2 little kids, and we were messing with the dog and stuff, and the dog like goes crazy over like YouTube videos about kittens. So my husband was putting videos of kittens and dogs, and then he put on videos of a baby crying. So I sat back just the littlest bit like this on the couch, and I felt it. So I was like, guys, I think this is it. I stood up, and it was just flowing out of me. And I'm like, see, that was my water breaking this morning, bitch. So we hurried up and got the kids ready. We had to call my son at work to be like, you have to find your own way home. And we dipped that paper in that my mother-in-law brought, turned blue. I'm like, okay, this is happening. That was like 6:30 at night. So it went from like 6 that morning to like 6 at night. So once the kids were out of the house and stuff, we took off for the hospital. Still no contractions. It was 11/27, 2018. Get into the hospital. We get into the gown. She made sure that the water was broke. It was broke. Strapped me all in. Rudolph came on at 8 o'clock. We watched Rudolph. They started the IV and stuff. And then like a marathon of Fast and Furious came on. We were watching that for a little bit. Now, I didn't get my OB. I got the doctor on call at the hospital I've never met before. He was a little older than mine, but he was nice. He was friendly. Told him I didn't want an episiotomy. This was the shortest labor ever that I've had. Everybody else's was like hours upon hours long. I pushed for, an hour or more. This was a 4-hour and 44-minute from the time I got into the hospital till the time he came out. I went natural, but at one point she asked me if I wanted meds in my IV, and I said yes. And that was amazing. I would kind of fall asleep and drift off. The contractions would come. I swear they only peaked for 30 seconds, and then I was sleeping again, and then they would peak for 30 seconds. And then at one point I was like, his head is right there, go get her, go get her. And then I was like, oh my gosh, push the button. So at that point, they're breaking down the bed, doctors coming in, they're grabbing my legs to push. I screamed the whole entire time he was coming out. He was my smallest baby, but I screamed the whole entire time he was coming out. I don't understand it. All my other kids were 8, 8-1, and 8-10. So he came out, and he was so teeny tiny. My row doctor kept telling me, he's going to be a big baby, he's going to be a big baby. He was only 7'5". I was getting stitches, baby was being weighed, and my IV started really hurting. My stitches weren't even hurting as bad as my IV. My hand started swelling, my arms started swelling, and I was like, you guys got to get this out. So they had to put in a new IV, take the first IV out, and then apparently I was losing a lot of blood. I didn't need a blood transfusion at that point. I didn't feel ringing in my ears or faint or anything, but they stuck my thigh with, medicine to make me stop bleeding. And then my husband started dry heaving in the bathroom because he saw my placenta. He said it was squirting in the pan, and then he looked over and I'm losing all this blood. So we were both not well at this point. And by the time I'm all stitched up and everything, baby and hubby goes to the nursery to get assessed and cleaned up. Baby was getting a bath at that point. And I felt just 10 minutes went by. I felt like I had just given birth. And my nurses were like, okay, we want you to go pee. We want you to get a shower. And then we'll wheel you down to the room you're going to stay in. And I was just I've always waited till the next day to take a shower. No one ever no one ever made me get a shower right after birth. So I sit up at the edge of the bed and my ears start ringing, and I'm like, this isn't going to happen. I'm like, I will take a shower in the other room when I'm ready. So they get me in the wheelchair finally. They still don't even move me because I'm I am not well. I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm not good. So we get down, we get in the other room. It's like, I had him at 11:44 at night. So I feel like this was like 1 o'clock in the morning by now. And every 15 minutes or something, someone's coming in and taking your vitals, taking your blood, taking the baby's blood, taking baby vitals, taking baby. So he stayed in the room with us. I got like a half an hour of sleep that night, but I was like on cloud nine. I was so excited he was out, so excited I wasn't pregnant anymore, so excited I was alive, and because I was fearing I was telling my mom and panicking that I was going to bleed to death, and then that happened, and I was like, did I make myself do that? Like, how did I know that was going to happen? I don't even get it. So the 28th of November, I was really faint. This coloring on my face, you guys can't probably tell, but I have horrible coloring right now, and he's still a week old. So I was faint for like a whole day. And when my real doctor came in to see me, he never mentioned anything. I opened my mouth and I said something to him about feeling faint and stuff. And he's like, oh, we'll give you a blood transfusion. And I was just like, we'll give you some blood. And I'm like, never mind. I don't want it. I don't know why I opened my mouth. Like, I'll be okay. So we got to go home on Thursday. The day that I was supposed to be induced was the day I got to actually go home. And we get home, and 2 days later, I'm feverish. I'm shaking all over. My husband like wraps me up in all these blankets, and I like sweat it out. But it was a rough recovery. I'm still sore down there. I don't feel many stitches, but they're there. I've already pooed several times, and it hasn't hurt at all, which is amazing because I've been taking more iron pills along with my prenatal. And everybody keeps saying, oh, you're going to be constipated, but I've been fine. They told me in the hospital if I passed a blood clot bigger than a plum, let them know. So the day that I had the fever and the chills, the next day, me and my daughter were doing the dishes in the kitchen, and my little 7-year-old was like being so loud. He was not understanding. He had to be quiet with the baby in the house. And I had said it to him and said it to him and said it to him. And so I was like, rawr. And I didn't like yell loud, but I was like, it came from within. And I was like, and I yelled at him. And something came out of me. I go into the bathroom, and a huge, never before seen blood clot was in the palm of my hand. Huge. I called my husband in. I told him to take a picture of it. It looked like the size of like a small ornament on my Christmas tree. So I'm thinking that is what I needed to pass. That is why I had the fever and chills. Haven't had anything bigger than that. Haven't had much bleeding other than that. Still bleeding, but like not a lot of blood clots. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but we're going with it. It's a good thing. The day after we came home, we had to take the baby to his doctor's to check his, so we took him to the doctor's. They had to send us to get blood work for his jaundice. And they called us back and said it's fine. 2 days later, which was last night at 6 o'clock at night, his doctor's office called and said, oh, we want to still keep track of his jaundice, so he needs to come back in for more blood and we're going to track it. Pissed me off. Like, you told us he was fine. Like, I just want to move on with life now. So I've been like standing him in front of the window and feeding him. His bassinet's in front of the window to get some sun. But it's like winter time and it's kind of gloomy out some days and the sun isn't like that bright. But we're trying over here. So tomorrow we're going to go get that blood work done. Hopefully they call and say, okay, it's okay. But I've had friends that their babies has to go get blood every single day. Hopefully we don't have to do that. What else? When he came out so fast that his whole face was a bruise. Not just here. His whole face was a bruise. It's called pressure face. They told me it was going to go from like bruise color to yellow to green. It hasn't. It pretty much went away. And now he has like, the baby acne right here. We think he's adorable. He went from being 7'5" at birth to when he came home, he was 6'15". When we went to the doctor the next day, he was 6'10". I was going to breastfeed. I was going to breastfeed exclusively. It hurt, but I was dealing with it. But he would like latch, suck, go off, wouldn't go back on. So I'd switch over. He would latch on, go off, and not go back on. So the first morning that we had him here, I had to get the kids up and ready for school. He cried for 2 hours straight because he was like so hungry. I didn't have formula in the house because I was expecting my breast pump from the insurance company to come, and it hadn't come. And I was like, I can't deal with this every day, like getting the kids up ready for school with a crying baby for 2 hours. So I made the husband go to the store and get Enfamil. And then we called the insurance company and was like, can you please tell us when we're going to get our breast pump? And they said in a week. So we still don't have it. I borrowed my sister-in-law's pump, and I've been pumping with that. I made him go get a manual pump free from the hospital, but it is not anything compared to a electric dual breast pump. So I have one bag in the freezer. Another bag is going to go in the freezer. Sometimes when I get like 3 ounces, I'll give it to him, so that I just feel like between the vitamins and the formula and my breast milk and the sun, I'm hoping that his jaundice numbers will regulate itself. My legs were swelling like 3 days ago. My legs did not swell my whole pregnancy. Not in the summertime, not in my 9 months, like nothing. I looked down and I had like 2 ankles on top of my ankles. My leg was like so swollen that it was shiny. And I'm like, what is going on with me? So I called the doctors the next day, got the nurse, and she said, oh, this happens. She said, I had a girl call last week with this issue. She said, the doctor will just say it'll get better before it gets worse, but it will go away. Unless you have other symptoms with it, you'll be okay. Well, that night that it happened was the worst night that they were and now they're okay. Like they slightly will swell, but nothing like that first time. And I feel like when I take super hot showers, it's like making them swell, and then I'll get out and they'll go down. So life with a newborn is pretty easy. Sleep, eat, poop. Doesn't cry much now that we got all that situated. We know him now, and he's just so chill. He likes to swing. He likes looking at the Christmas tree. My kids hold him when, like, he's sleeping, and I'm like, hey, I gotta do homework, or let me take a shower, let me throw a load of clothes in. So life is good here. I don't know when I'm going to go back to work. Like, I kind of don't want to. Of course, who wants to? So I don't know when I'm going to make that transition. But we'll figure it out. So I'll show you the baby. And make it up off the couch. Slowly but surely. Here he is. He's the sweetest little bean. He's my last little bean. I didn't get my tubes tied, but we got this. I have an 18-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old. I know how to not have babies. All right, well, I guess I'll sign off for now, and I'll post this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.